Hi, I'm Jennifer Lancaster. You can call me Jen, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker and supervisor and founder of Houston Healing Collective, a group practice in Houston, Texas. If you've been wondering what EMDR is and how it works, this video is for you. EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which sounds really complicated, but the core idea behind it is pretty straightforward, and there's a lot of research to back it up. It was created by Dr. Francine Shapiro in 1987 when she realized that certain eye movements seem to decrease the intensity of disturbing thoughts. Since then, a lot of research has been conducted, and it is often recommended as a first-line treatment for PTSD. But what is it? What does it look like? How does it actually work? Let's break it down together. First, it's important to understand that sometimes when something traumatic or overwhelming happens, the brain doesn't always file it away cleanly in the past. In fact, it feels as though it's still happening in the present. Your nervous system is responding to triggers, whether it be smells or a certain tone of voice, or maybe a place that you're visiting, and it thinks that that overwhelming experience from the past is currently happening, and that's where people can experience things like panic, nightmares, flashbacks, or other trauma symptoms. EMDR helps the brain fully process the memory the way that it should have. So that means it's processing what actually happened, how you felt, and the beliefs that developed in the aftermath. When all of those things are processed and integrated, the brain is finally able to file that memory away in the past where it belongs. So how does EMDR help the brain process these memories? There are a lot of different parts to EMDR, which I'll dive into in future videos, but the primary way that the memories are reprocessed is through bilateral stimulation. And bilateral stimulation basically activates the right and left hemispheres of the brain through either eye movements, so you can follow a finger or a light bar back and forth, or through buzzers that are held in the right and the left hand, or sometimes with sound, so alternating beeps in headphones. You can also use tapping like this. The theory, with some good supporting research, is that this process mimics what happens in the brain during rapid eye movement or REM sleep, where in this stage of sleep, you can actually observe people's eyes moving left and right. This is the stage of sleep when memories are processed and consolidated and connections are made. And it's why when you're really struggling with something, you're upset or you can't make a decision, the advice is usually to sleep on it. Because in the morning, you'll wake up feeling a lot differently about the situation than you did the night before. Bilateral stimulation during EMDR seems to replicate this process while you're awake, and researchers believe that's what allows the brain to process a stuck memory, integrating the emotions, sensations, and beliefs instead of leaving them fragmented. So what does an actual course of EMDR therapy look like? The length of time can look different for everyone, especially depending on what type of trauma you're reprocessing, whether it's a single incident trauma or more long-standing complex childhood trauma. There are 8 phases to EMDR, and I'll go into more detail about those in later videos. But to give you an idea, you'll start with treatment planning, where you look at some of your stuck points and these memories or memory networks that you ultimately would like to reprocess. Then you'll move into resourcing. So your therapist will work with you to develop the coping skills and nervous system regulation necessary to do the work. And then you'll move into the reprocessing itself through bilateral stimulation. Something that a lot of clients appreciate about EMDR is that they don't have to talk in detail about the disturbing memory or event. Instead, the therapist will ask you to hold the memory in mind, the image, the emotions, body sensations, and any negative beliefs that you have connected to that memory while they guide you through the bilateral stimulation. With time, you'll notice that those emotions and sensations lose their charge, and that's what we call desensitization. Eventually, the therapist will help you connect that memory to a more helpful belief. So instead of believing this was all my fault, you instead believe I did the best I could. Or instead of believing I'm powerless, you believe I now have choices. If you're looking for EMDR therapy in Houston or virtually anywhere in Texas, we'd love to connect. We offer a free 15-minute consultation, and I'll drop the link in the description below. Be sure to hit subscribe and follow along to learn all about trauma, EMDR therapy, ketamine-assisted therapy, and other approaches that are out there aside from traditional talk therapy.